This is Dr. Mahesh Bhagway. I'm an orthopedic surgeon here in St. Louis for over the last 20 years. I went to Washington University. I got my medical degree at St. Louis University. From local athletes to injured workers and even Cardinal baseball players, I've treated them all. Our practice strives to personalize care with every new patient being seen by me. To find me, contact my staff at drbagwe.com, DRBAGWE.com. Hopefully you don't need me, but if you do, you can find me now.
You've waited, and now it's here. The unveiling of the latest Carroll House lifestyle collections. I'm Brooke with my sister Amy, inviting you to see 3 football fields of the latest styles.
Our new lifestyle collections are premium quality furniture made exclusively for us and available only at Carroll House.
The attention to detail is unmatched, and so is the value, nearly half the price of a typical gallery store.
Plus, get free financing, delivery, and in-home design. Carroll House, because you like nice things.
White Glove Exotic Services is St. Louis's first concierge vehicle service center. Alex David's team is passionate, certified technicians. They have industry-leading tools and equipment. They do it all. They pick up and deliver your car, hands-free. Plus, they have elite detailing service, customized PPF wraps and tinting, and inspection and titling assistance. White Glove also specializes in logistics and storing options, vehicle listings, and consignment. White Glove Exotic Services. Check them out at cancelthisshow.com. Kathy O. Big Strick, owner of Experience Real Estate Partners with eXp, has been one of St. Louis, Missouri's highest selling groups for 26 years running. In that time, Kathy and her team have successfully assisted an incredible 4,000 families. So if you're thinking about buying, building, or selling, be sure to put Kathy's group and their experience to work for you, and you can expect to be moved. Just give her a call at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-7653, or find her online at experience-re.com. Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, if you don't know, is a family-owned business that has been around since 1994, serving some of the best chicken wings in town, no joke. Also known for their fresh burgers, pizza, and incredible smoked meat. Top-notch happy hour specials are included, plus live music every Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, you can also enjoy their spacious heated covered patio. It's Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Kaboom! Sometimes it happens. We got knocked off, but we are back on. Like, subscribe, share, let your friends know, let people know we're back on. It actually happened at the right time. We were getting ready to take a break. We took a break, so we reset the show for hour number 2 of our live show, our live podcast. Of course, as always, you know, we're centrally based in the country, St. Louis, Missouri, 8 to 10 a.m. Central Time. You can watch us live. Then you can watch us after any time of the day. Just go straight to cancelthisshow.com. You can watch us there, your episodes from a daily basis. You can also listen to us like the old way of doing it on podcast audio, if that's easier for you. Plenty of platforms to jump in there as well. And of course, you can send us your stars. Hell, if you want to donate and help us do what we're doing, keep this freedom of speech, this kind of broadcasting on the air, you can go to cancelthisshow.com, click on the donate button. If you're on a phone, a mobile device, and using it, you just click on the menu and it'll take you there as well. But we are back. We've got Scotty Gherkin on the boards, Lizzie Sparks taking care of all social media, Eric Johnson in studio now, and Tabitha Hassel. Guys, we're back. It's Monday. Lots to talk about. Mayor Bob Nation from Chesterfield, Missouri, joining us live in the studio, coming up at 9:30. Okay, as we were going to break, we were talking about this story. It just goes to show where sometimes you have people saying things. Number one, Chris Rock went after wokeism over the weekend and Will Smith, which was absolute comic fodder. He was amazing. And then you also had his star is rising. Again, Chris Rock. Well, Jimmy Kimmel, barely on TV. I don't even know how the guy is on TV. He's been connected with so many nefarious things. He goes after Aaron Rodgers because of a comment that Aaron Rodgers made last week. Aaron Rodgers, still quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. He's a different type of guy. Definitely marches to the beat of his own drum. But all he said was, I can't wait to see the list for Epstein.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't want to see that?
And what's wrong? And he said that. So Jimmy Kimmel tries to use Aaron Rodgers as a lightning rod to go after him to try to get ratings, to try to cancel him. and it backfires even more.
He's not getting canceled. Aaron Rodgers is uncancelable.
I agree.
He's even if he retires tomorrow, he's still uncancelable. He's one of everybody's becoming uncancelable.
It's not happening.
Everybody is. Did you see Russell Brand, by the way? Talk about some of the most.
We were talking about Russell a little bit
Some
ago.
of the most crazy off the wall. I mean, he just eviscerated the left on Bill Maher. You got to go. Here's what your reading order is tonight, Tabitha. If you have Netflix, you have to go see Chris Rock and roll at the end of his show. You have to go watch Russell Brand at the end of the latest Bill Maher. He eviscerates everybody on the planet about wokeism and about the media and all this stuff. We're coming to an end of wokeism. We're coming to an end of cancel culture, Vic.
Thank God.
We're coming to an end, people.
I don't think we're coming.
And
I don't think we're coming to an end, but at least we're bringing it out. There's going to be people who are going to push it because guess what?
No.
The national media still controls the messaging.
Listen to me. This weekend, I've met a person who's not majorly rich, and I won't tell you what her discipline is as far as her work goes. But I had a very long conversation with her. And guess what, Vic? Wokeism has come apparently into the Wentzville School District. She is
big time.
Remember when I told you 2 years ago? Hold on. Remember when I told you 2 years ago that the people of means will leave the places of woke culture and all this garbage? Their kids go to the Wentzville School District. And I always gave Wentzville this benefit of the doubt. Before every paper, remember when you used to put your name on the top of your homework?
Yes.
Guess what you have to do now? You have to circle your salutation and your pronoun. And she's like, I'm done. I've had enough. Just that one little thing. People of means will leave places of wokeism.
I'd never heard that they had to circle their pronouns on the top of their paper.
That's horrible.
That's news to me.
That's horrible.
So this is a mom that says one of her children or all of her children
in the Wentzville School District.
Are they in high school?
And I'll name you.
How old are they?
They're not in high school yet.
Okay, that's key too.
So they're having to do pronouns, and they're not
circle
even
your
in
pronouns.
high school.
Circle your pronouns and write your name because they don't even teach cursive anymore.
Yeah.
Write your name and circle your pronoun. Okay.
That angers me. I've said it 1,000 times. I have no issue with gay people or trans people. As an adult, you can do whatever you want to do. But and I understand there are children who do have this identity issue. But I will tell you what, for the school where your taxpayers' dollars go,
yes,
your taxpayer dollars are paying for the school, along with government money, of course. Government funding is paying for this. They should not be doing this to children. It's too confusing. But you know what, Eric? If schools, it doesn't matter where someone moves, because in this country, in the United States, if you don't allow these practices of circling your pronouns, you don't receive your Title IX funding.
Okay. I don't know what that even means. And you're right. You're probably right. But here's the
deal. Because that was something, that was an executive order that Biden passed, that if you go against, these very woke, ridiculous ideas, these woke programs, if you refuse to allow boys in the girls' bathrooms, etc., if you refuse to put the little litter boxes in the schools when they want them, then you don't get your Title IX funding.
I have to ask Eric, I was listening, but okay, you said people with means will move their kids. Where is she moving her kids?
Okay. God, I feel like I'm getting too into the weeds, but okay, they're moving.
You're not getting into weeds. That's part of the story.
Past Forestell. I don't know what school district that is,
but it's
they're
another
farther west.
But it's another public school.
It's another public school. She did her due diligence, her research, and they go, we value ABCs and algebra and we don't do that here.
That's good.
They literally have. She literally had to get in her car on a Saturday, say, "I'm done with Wentzville. I'm done with the fastest growing. I'm done with the fastest growing, most amenities county probably in the state right now.
Absolutely.
I've had enough. I didn't believe you guys. When you guys said they were putting furries in Wentzville, I'm like,
it's true.
I'm like,
it's a bunch of
district. Yep.
It's a bunch of rich farmers, basically, and you guys are putting woke culture in with a bunch of.
I couldn't believe
it's like, what are you talking about?
A decade ago to be in the Wentzville School District and maybe put our kids back into public school. They've gone to Lutheran school.
Yeah.
And we had always heard Wentzville was so great. And for any of you that do not know it about Wentzville, if you're listening nationally, it's a very conservative town. It incorporates quite a few little municipalities that are very conservative, but it is one of the most woke school districts
I did not know that.
I've
Yes,
ever
it
known.
is.
I did not know
But
that.
here's
Awful.
why. Okay, so
Wow.
But Eric, so now I take you back to your opening comment. Is woke really going away or
Yes.
not? Because
Yes.
I'm telling you,
Yep.
it's not. And here's why. There is more wokeism going on at schools than ever before. And just because one mom is going to move her kids doesn't mean everybody's moving away. And the problem with that is, while Wentzville is what Lizzie says it is, and I have been in those school districts and I've done multiple stories on a variety of topics in St. Charles County and
All right.
Wentzville, all it takes is one
Okay.
superintendent, maybe two Board of Education people to start changing things. And then over time, then you start sending those messages down.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Unless, dun, 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 the parents show up and start making the biggest scene that you can possibly imagine. And you have to have massive numbers to do so.
Bingo.
And it's hard to do this. It shouldn't be, but it is. And then you have massive people leave. And that's just not going to happen because it's not easy to just get up and move.
And
It's
the
not.
liberals
For the
have
most,
moved,
for
right.
most.
That's
of
what I
people.
said. I
Yes, the
said
liberals
people with
have moved
means,
out.
and I always heard that Tabitha Hassel coming in the show and say there's a revolution coming. I was
And
like,
kids
yeah.
are learning, Eric.
And I was like, yeah, Tabitha, you sound correct, but I don't think that's how it's going to work.
Well, people need to go to. They don't have to move. They need to go to co-ops, and we're seeing more and more of these co-ops where parents come together because we can't all take time out of work and homeschool. And parents come together and they find a co-op option to homeschool your kids, or they find a mutual building, a church, etc., and they take turns homeschooling the kids
Well,
as a group.
I agree with you, but I'm looking up to our north in Ohio. Is it Ohio or Iowa? One of the two. One of
It's
those states.
Iowa's what you're going to talk
Iowa.
about.
And you have a governor who said, you know what, here's a voucher. And it's very nonchalant. It's very like, here's a voucher, educate your kid to the best of your ability, and we'll pay for it. And they're taking them to charter schools and Catholic schools and private schools. Co-ops would be a fantastic idea. That's a great idea. And they're bypassing the wokeism. And it's because parents ultimately, because she came up with it was a perfect soliloquy. She said, I love my house. I love Wentzville. I like to be able to go to Walmart at midnight if I want to, but I got 15 more years of this with my kids. I can't imagine fighting the Wentzville school district for the next 15 years.
Here's the thing.
I go, man, nailed it.
Here's the thing. In 3 years or in 5 years, you're not going to see a majority of people doing this. You're just not, because it's a generational thing. Maybe in another generation or two, who knows what's going to be happening with this world.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have families moving like in a large amount moving out of the public schools.
I just think
you're just not,
Vic,
because it's not the environment. It's just not.
I think parents will still be parents
St. Louis
1,000
County
years from now.
Will still be in their public schools. They're still going to be all over the place. If it's
no, because I think parents are still parents, right? Lizzie, right? Tabitha, we're parents, and if we see across the river these kids going, man, they're not teaching critical race theory over there. They're not teaching furries and what they're not doing all. I want that. People will look at other school districts and go, that those kids know advanced calculus. Those kids know how to break down Mark Twain books. My kids are basically calling white kids racist. I'm out. I'm done. I think parents will always be parents, and they'll always want their kids to compete with successful kids. Period. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why do you think all the kids want to go to CBC?
Because first, number one, you have to recognize it as a parent that it's really a problem, and most parents don't in St. Louis County. Maybe you're going to get some that are doing this, but the majority of schools, until the majority of parents leave schools, you're not going to see any change. Now, it's always easier to change the problem within the school than it is to totally move. What needs to happen, what should happen, is parents change their own schools. You fight for your own schools, because it's not easy to just get up and keep moving. It's just not.
I see both sides of that. If it were me,
it's just not easy.
I would think, hey, I would move too. And I probably would move, but that's easier for me to do than a lot
That's
of
what
other
I said.
parents
I said
to do.
the people with
But it's-
means will,
right,
their
it's-
revolution
right.
comes in U-Hauls.
It's not always
And it's
easy.
small. That's a smaller group.
But
Eric.
we have so many people right now who are on the Wentzville school board who are fighting the hard fight, and they're doing their best
Are
to turn.
they?
They have an
Not
Yeah.
hard enough.
yeah, they have
three
Yes.
some
right now that
fantastic
we need to
folks.
vote in.
Yes,
And I even put a sign in my yard for the 3, and my kids don't even go there, but maybe they could if these 3 would change things. And Vic's right about the superintendent. It took one superintendent came in.
That's it.
And he was calling almost everybody in Wentzville racist. So that's why they bent.
but he's gone now.
He's gone, but he went to Rockwood
went
now.
to Rockwood.
Oh,
But then when he
So-
went to Rockwood, then that's where you had some success against the woke agenda, where you had an overturning of the board. So Mr. Woke Superintendent goes there, but then you have anti-woke come in as school board members. So now you still have infighting.
yeah.
That's right.
That's
That is true.
So
Yeah.
And Eric, that's where this battle will be fought. It'll be fought on the school boards. We have to make sure. I hope the parents in these school districts wake up and they fight to get the right people on the school board. So far, Rockwood is winning in that battle, and Wentzville, in my opinion, is winning in that battle. They have some great
Is
school
Wentzville?
board
Yeah,
I
members.
would love to
Wentzville
talk
is
to some
trying
Wentzville
to gradually
parents.
change. I know the 3 that are running. We probably need to have them in, even though it's a local thing. This is happening all over the
Yeah.
United States.
Yeah.
And they are wanting to, they think there's 2 ways you can change the school board. Well, really 3: superintendent, and we've got to abolish DESE.
I don't know what
gotta
DESE
go.
Right.
is. I don't know what that
the
is.
Department of Education for the state of Missouri, and it's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
it
DESE
isn't.
will
There's too
not.
much money in it.
So they can say that that's what we need to do, but it's not going to happen.
And
No,
it's
it
not
isn't.
and it's not just here in St. Louis. This is
everywhere.
happening in school districts across the country. I'm with you, Eric. I wish people, I really do wish people, if they could, and thank God there are more options available now than there ever have been in the past.
Right.
I wish people would say, you know what, I'm done with the public school system.
Yes.
Because you know what, if you're done with the public school system will fold. You have to say, I'm done with it. Move to a different
But
area.
it's
if
never
you
going to
have
happen.
It's never going to happen because you know why? Because we as conservatives
Well, I don't know.
are never strong enough to stand up
Okay.
and fight for what we believe
I don't
in.
know that it
Very
needs,
few
I
of
don't know
us.
that it needs to happen. What I think what we're talking in the same circle right now. I think that we're all right in this thing. People of means will leave places that they feel like are abusing their kids. That's number one. Number two, you're right. There is an infrastructure of schools and buildings and well-educated teachers. You'd need to take, because if you're going to compete, if it becomes a competitive place, if you start to see on Channel 2 and 4 and 5 and KMOX in this show, hey, come to the blank school district, come to the Tabitha Hassel School District. We'll teach your kids how to be smart. And if you start to see those commercials and you say, don't send your kids to Parkway Central because they teach this, come to the Tabitha Hassel School of whatever.
Commercials.
Television spots where it becomes a commercial marketplace.
Oh, not an
where it becomes a
intentional commercial.
marketplace
Yeah.
of education.
Local news won't do that. It's going to have to be us.
No,
No,
they
they
will do
won't,
it.
Eric.
If
You know
I
what?
buy the ads on Channel 2,
They
how
won't
can they
sell you
stop
the
us?
ads. They won't sell you the ads.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's called Sarbanes-Oxley. They have to sell you the
That's
ads.
not what Sarbanes-Oxley is.
Yes, it is actually. Well, it might not be, but it wraps up into that package of you cannot stop someone from doing an
Yeah,
advertisement.
Sarbanes-Oxley is a computer program.
But we've
No,
got
Sarbanes-Oxley is the program is the system that said you cannot do payola on radio. It's basically it's a communications thing.
But within that whole system, here's the other thing, guys. You control who you vote in, and you have to have a vote. And guess what? This all gets back to who's representing you in your school boards and who's also representing you at the state level. Guess what? Check this out. Lizzie and Tabitha sent this in. Do you think that every conservative thinks that drag shows for kids and that puberty blockers are bad? They don't. Here it is. Here are Republicans who are still not against puberty blockers. They have not voted. These Republicans. So, Eric, it's not as cut and dry. I mean, you still have these guys, these 5 representatives who've refused, Missouri Republicans, who have refused.
And they're refusing so much right now, and it is kind of putting a halt. So anybody on this chat line that lives in Missouri, even if you don't, find your Republicans that are a rhino that are stopping that and look at those numbers and call them. Call. That's how you change.
And I'm with Jay. They are not they're definitely not true Republicans.
No, they're not. They're Democrats that ran as Republicans to clog the wheel of the Republican movement.
I know 3 of them personally. They're not Democrats. They're Republicans who feel torn.
But why would you be torn about
destroying your children or not?
Yeah, I agree with you guys, but I'm telling you, they're not Democrats.
They're on the wrong side of every single issue.
They voted for the gas tax too. I mean, they're crazy.
They're on the wrong side of every issue.
It is.
But there are a lot of Republicans who didn't feel the gas tax was a bad thing, though, Lizzie.
You're right. They didn't. They thought it was okay.
Because we had the lowest in the country and didn't have infrastructure that was being taken care of. I covered that extensively, and I did see points on both sides, even though I know it's like tax. Nope, we can't do that.
Yeah, that was your liberal side.
So, you know what? Listen to you guys. It just makes a lot of people, I know that you're saying, oh, and someone's voted for a tax increase on this and that. It makes people like me just go, I don't give a damn what you guys are talking about. I'm out of here. I'm going to Texas.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of people
can get up and move and do that, which takes us back to
not everyone has the means to do that, unfortunately.
Yes,
less so ready people. To go.
I am too,
Let's
man.
go,
I'm like,
Scotty.
I'm like with the Kim Gardner stuff and this and circling your pronoun in Wentzville.
Where are you gonna go to?
Where am I gonna go?
In Texas.
Not Austin.
Not Austin.
That's what I'm
Houston.
saying. You got to pick your
town.
Well, you're right, but the cost of living would be number 1. Good education would be number 2. A beach, Scotty.
I'm going to the Virgin Islands.
The Virgin Islands. Oh, that sounds good.
Let's go.
I've got friends.
St. Thomas. I'm going to have a little tiki bar there.
I've got friends in the Bahamas
this weekend.
I always wondered this. You know how I got to Anchorage, Alaska?
By plane.
Yeah.
He walked.
Hold on. You know, so this speaks right to Tabitha. And I'm not saying everybody can do this. I got a plane ticket sent to me to write some music. The plane ticket was $350. I got on the plane. I had nothing. I didn't have a guitar. I didn't have anything. I just went up to Anchorage. I stayed up there for 3 years.
Yep.
Wow.
That's how you move. If you're at a certain age.
Did you take your wife and kids with you too?
No, I did not.
See, you went by yourself.
Okay. And then I went to Seattle.
And you were younger, and it's a different story.
I'm just saying, if people get sick of something enough, and look, Gavin Newsom's dealing with this right now. DeSantis went to the Ronald Reagan Library yesterday or 2 days ago.
He did.
And he said, basically goes, we have more people coming into our state. You have more people leaving your state. It's
true.
The truth.
It is
guess
the
who's
truth.
leaving, Tabitha? Not the people in homeless tent cities in downtown Los Angeles. It's the cats with the money and the businesses. They're leaving. So when this deficit of money and funds starts to rear its ugly head, you're going to see people going, all right, we're done with this or else we're going to kill the state.
To some degree. I mean, we have Elon Musk moving back.
Yes. And Eric, in the grand scheme of things, it was just under 300,000 people that left California last year, but they also had people moving in. And then you look at the population of the state. It shows a little trend that could be happening, but it's not massive. And their elections are still full Democratic, just like New York. All these people were leaving New York, and then every Democrat that runs still wins.
But do you think the people down in San Bernardino and out to the east in California want to be a Californian anymore?
But think about it, Eric. You talk about going to Texas, Dallas, Houston,
Florida,
liberal.
Virgin Islands.
They're liberal.
Bahamas,
Austin, liberal.
I'm ready to go to, Eric. As a matter of fact, the majority of my family, as a matter of fact, all of my immediate family, they are all packing up. Parents, step-parents, packing up. My brother.
I thought you said
moving.
Parents. I'm like, they're packing.
I'm just saying, you guys
said
parents are packing up.
I'm just saying,
my
you
entire
guys,
family's moving.
Yeah, you can't
no
say
Democrats.
You can't say because you think they don't have means they can't leave. They do. There are people.
It's more difficult. I'm not saying they can't, but it's
everybody's
much
got
it's difficult.
Not everybody, because think of what that's involved for some people. If they have a home, that means they have to sell their home. They have to buy a new home. In another
Especially
area.
this market.
And you have to have kids who leaving their friends behind. You have people leaving their families
I didn't
behind
say
it.
it wasn't hard. I
It's
said
not-
it's necessity.
It's not
I didn't say
easy
it's
to
not hard.
do. It is hard to do.
If you live in an area where all of the supermarkets close up and there's no food,
But people
you're
don't
leaving.
But you don't, unless you live in the city of St. Louis, you really don't need to leave. That's the fact. You don't need to leave. You might choose to leave. You don't need to leave, because right now we live in a time and an era where there are so many options for people when it comes to sending your kids to school. We have
Right.
it's so easy to
that is true.
homeschool, and obviously a lot of parents work and you can't homeschool. Then you know what? Get together with like-minded people. Get together with people in your church and found a co-op where you can teach your children together. You know what? It costs $0 to do this.
I think a conservative group, I don't know who has the money in this town, but it would be great to see a bunch of ads on Spectrum or on Channel 2 that say,
or on cancel this.
Wentzville is a woke school district. I would love to see some public service announcements. I know you always say they would never.
They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it.
No, because it's defamation.
How is it defamation?
Because you're right. Because you could be hurting a school district with your own ideas. Yeah, it would.
Why can't it just be a public service? Say, hey, if you want a woke school district, let's come out here to Wentzville.
No, it's
bring your furry.
Can we, before Bob comes
Everybody
in,
has
can
one.
we have some fun? Scotty, did
Sure.
you see the picture, the Eric thing I sent?
Mm-hmm.
Can we please pop that up?
That would be great.
Oh, I can't.
This was
There's Eric.
This
There
was
he
the
is.
this was the highlight of my weekend.
What?
Well, look at the
picture.
line. Oh, do you not have it up?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he
Ladies
can
and-
see it. He can see it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Eric,
Why
our
would-
very own Eric. What
This
year?
is not Thursday, Throwback Thursday.
What, Eric? Look at what year was this from? I saw this on social media, so I had to pull it up.
Yeah, that's 1989.
Yeah, see, I knew Eric
Circa
when he looked like that,
89.
but you haven't changed that much. You
Go on.
still
Go on.
you still look that good.
Go
You
on.
have shorter
Go
hair.
on.
Why do you think Liz has been coming into the studio,
Yeah, why do you
Eric?
think I'm
Wink,
coming
wink.
in here, Eric?
Yeah.
I get to see you every day.
Yeah. KNAC.
Eric,
radio.
Eric, I love that hair, man. Do you think you could grow your hair out that long again?
Yeah, I do it every Friday and Saturday night.
You do?
Yeah, your hair grows overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
89. Eric,
Best era ever.
I love it, dude. I
Yeah.
love that
Great hair.
pic, man.
You guys don't even know what you're missed. You don't. I wish I could tell you. Scotty,
It
I
was
think, was
great.
there.
What band was that?
Huh?
you
That
were
was a
playing
band
with?
called Ragdoll with Kelly from Trixie Delight and Mike Hennick, who's in PRL, and Bob, the one and only Bob Taylor, if you know Bob Taylor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. the
I
one
only
and
know
only.
Mike, and he's very
Okay.
very
Well,
nice guy.
for our listeners in the St. Louis area and for our listeners and viewers all across the country, we always talk about you being the rock star, or at least I do.
Yeah.
And we had that awesome pic of you.
Was that at Stages?
No, there's no such thing as a.
Thank you, Scott.
There's no
That's-
such thing as a.
Wait, can you pop that
Put it
back up?
again.
You legitimately look like one of the 80, like literally, like put a little mascara on you, man.
He's only one of the only ones that came out non-gay.
I'll show you how.
Tabitha,
Oh my God.
don't go there
and Scotty,
again.
and Scotty. Forgot about
That
Scotty.
picture actually demonstrates how poor I actually was back then, because that base, the body, I stole from somebody. They didn't want it. Was a basswood base. See, this is
That's
going
a
in the
basswood-
weeds.
A what?
Basswood base. It was a piece of junk,
I'm
and I
checking that. I'm
stole
looking.
a PV foundation neck to make that. So I think I built the whole thing for $20.
Nice. Hey, it
Not
worked though,
including
didn't
the
it?
strings. Yeah, it worked fine. Yeah, you're poor. You do things because you don't have no money.
If that was
Yeah.
89, I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, see, you were playing Battle of the Bands. You were back
We've
with
shown
me.
Scott on the podcast already. We've shown your picture. We've actually heard you sing from recent.
But that was like an old
But
you
we-
guys saw a new picture. Like
Yeah,
you know,
you're
the
up to
fat
date.
me. Yeah, not the
Oh,
long you don't have the
stop.
long hair one for me.
The long hair ripped up one,
Yeah,
like Eric.
We're not gonna show that.
The drummer of our
Aquanet.
band, the drummer
Aquanet.
Patrick of our band, he tried to have long hair, but it was curly. So he looked like Welcome Back Carter. He looked like-
Mr. Cutter.
I go, you look much better bald, dog.
Hey, this is.
You know, some people do look better
Yeah,
bald. They
yes,
do.
they do.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
But you have to have the right shaped head,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
because sometimes the head just
It's
it's
true.
here and there and
It's
everywhere.
so
I
and-
can't
true.
do it. I'm
It-
so,
it-
like
it
I've
doesn't
shaved my
work.
head, like not bald, but like crew cut. And nope, doesn't work.
See, I think you would look good. I think
No.
you would look good bald.
Nope.
I know a
doesn't
lot
work.
of guys who actually look better bald. I couldn't even imagine them with hair. They are how they were meant to be.
Yeah, they're bald, and then you can't imagine them with hair.
and also the other story I want to get to before we get to Mayor Bob Nation here in a second, who's coming into studio. Over the weekend, please don't ever do this. a 21-year-old was arrested, caused a huge scene because he decided to urinate on another passenger.
What's going on?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Do you think about this?
Intentionally. I mean, he wasn't like, I gotta go. And there was a line. He literally dropped his pants and urinated.
Think about this every time I see these stories.
Was there an accident because of this?
No. What do you mean an accident?
Well, I'm just curious why we're talking about it. What happened out of it?
No,
or how
that
did you
he was
find out
arrested.
about it? Okay.
That he was arrested.
Here's what
How
happened.
did the police know?
Here's what happened.
What do you mean? Because the passenger told him
they were on a
what
plane.
was going on.
They were on a plane and they urinated on someone.
Okay.
Here's what I want you to do. Go back and look up flights from the 1940s. You wore a suit, you wore a tie, you came on, they handed you a 5-star meal.
That's a great point.
You came on, your kids, if they cried, they put a mask, they put a gag ball in their mouth. No, I'm just
come on.
but it was such a respectful time to go on a plane. It was almost like going to church, from what I heard, because I wasn't alive back then. And now we've gone down into the pit of you go on with shorts and Birkenstock sandals and you bring on a fish sandwich.
Because we know. By the way, if you're ever flying with Eric, do not wear sandals.
No.
He does not want to see your feet on a plane.
Well, nobody does.
I don't have an issue with it.
I don't have an issue with people
I've
wearing
got my own
sandals
pet peeve.
I gotta leave.
on an airplane.
You have an issue with that too?
No, I said I do not
Yeah,
have an
neither
issue.
do I.
But here's the thing, guys. I work in security. People urinate everywhere. I mean, you don't know this.
Tabitha.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tabitha
Yeah,
Hassel.
but not
Everywhere.
on somebody. This guy was arrested.
You'd be
at 20.
surprised the things that I see, even just in movie theaters. Things are crazy. Don't ever take a cup or a popcorn thing out of the trash can to get free refills because people urinate in those trash cans.
What time out?
Don't do it.
Please say you
Tabitha.
saved this. Please. Oh my gosh.
What
Tabitha.
has just happened?
I don't know.
You mean somebody's picking cups out of trash cans?
Yes, they do it all the time. People
Tabitha.
get trash. So it's so bad that in some movie theaters they have to have people come in continuously and empty the trash because there are people who will come into the movie and not want to buy a soda or a popcorn, and they will get into the trash and they will take out a popcorn thing, a little popcorn bucket and a soda cup, and they'll take it up to the concession stand and act like they're getting a refill. But I have seen people spit in those trash cans. They urinate in those trash cans. And I am telling you,
Tabitha
you have
runs
no
a
idea
security
what you're
company
getting.
for the movie industry, by the way, if you're just joining us.
Yes, and we
listeners
yes,
all over the area.
I don't even know what to say. I've never been shocked that much in my life. So
you'd be surprised.
What a great segue
Yes.
to Chesterfield Mayor.
Isn't that right?
Bob Nation.
He's like, maybe we should wait 15 minutes before I step
Only
in.
the best for you, Bob. Hey,
well.
by the way, good morning. Welcome into the studio. We appreciate it for the first time.
Good morning.
We've been very, very serious. A lot of serious topics, and
I was listening a little bit earlier this morning. I could tell you're very serious.
Yeah, right.
And then we kind of took a detour a little bit left. Seriously, welcome in. You've had a super successful run in Chesterfield, very popular. When I was working in Fox 2, clearly, always you were willing to talk. You're never worried about what somebody's going to say. You're like, hey, this is what it is. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be direct. And now you have something coming up, which we thought was pretty interesting to get you in studio to talk about. So explain it as best as you can, as entertaining as you can, what you're trying to do to help residents of Chesterfield that could help any municipality across the country.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the opportunity. First, I'll just comment on what you were talking about earlier, not the one topic that we're talking about, but the airline and stuff. So I came here to go to work for Ozark Airlines back in 1970.
Oh, yeah, you're a pilot.
So I
You
had
were
a career as an
pilot.
airline pilot, Ozark, TWA, and American Airlines. So I've seen quite a transition. All these things you were saying are quite true.
Yeah.
Eric.
So that whole thing has changed. But that's not what I'm here to talk about, obviously. And thank you again for the opportunity to talk about a thing called a use tax, which has come about due to actually Supreme Court action in 2018, and actually going back before that, if you follow the entire history. So I'm not sure exactly how much time we have this morning, and I know this is quite mundane compared to the topics.
We
that
love
you-
mundane. We love mundane.
So
Please.
but I'll I don't want to. Seriously though. So this thing called a use tax, and first of all, a use tax, people say, well, what is a use tax? Well, the term use is just another term for sales tax.
Okay.
But what it mostly applies to is purchases made from out of state.
That could be via a catalog order or a phone order, or more likely in today's day and age, an internet order.
Love it.
So, I guess going back chronologically, as I best understand it, and I may have some of the facts and figures wrong, but I think the sales taxes in the state of Missouri were first.
No, you keep talking about it.
Okay. First introduced in 1934, and maybe municipal sales tax. So there's a differentiation between state sales taxes and local taxes that may go to the county or the municipality or some other entity that provides services in the region. So 1969, I think, was when first municipal taxes were first introduced and authorized within the state of Missouri, and they were for the purpose of funding municipal services. So, one of the things generically, and I'm kind of sidetracking a little bit, but to me, is over the years, I've kind of been a student of the revenue structures of different forms of government as well as other entities. So in other words, the federal government has a different revenue structure than does the state of Missouri. The state of Missouri has a different revenue structure than St. Louis County, and St. Louis County has a different revenue structure than Chesterfield or any other municipality within St. Louis County. So, when, as an example, when the legislature makes a change that affects predominantly the budget of the state of Missouri, and they may not think of the financial ramifications, the consequences on municipalities, that's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah, because you guys are is Chesterfield revenue? Are we in is there a problem here in Chesterfield? The reason I ask that is because I always wonder what happened to the mall. It seems like that part of it's doing good. A couple of years ago, we heard the police department was having a hard time with being funded. Remember that during COVID,
right? Absolutely.
Is Chesterfield good as far as its
no?
Revenue
We're good. It's just, but you bring up a point.
You could be better.
Well, I'm not biased or anything, but it's at least better, I would say.
Yeah.
So, but and this has to do with the revenue structures that I just mentioned. And for instance, Chesterfield, like many municipalities, is primarily funded by sales taxes. We have no property tax. So, and there are many other cities that do not have a property tax. In other words, what they're generating from retail sales taxes is sufficient to pay the bills,
right? To
pay for the police, maintain the parks, maintain the streets, et cetera.
Yeah.
So that is true currently within the city of Chesterfield, whereas other municipalities, I'll use a small example, Clarkson Valley. Okay, Clarkson Valley has virtually no retail. So understandably, to fund what the services that they provide for their residents, they must charge a small property tax, and they do.
Right.
So, when Chesterfield residents or voters, they see all this development going on in Chesterfield, I would say, apartment complexes and subdivisions and office buildings and gateway studios and all this, unless there's a retail sales tax component that brings revenues to the bottom line of the city of Chesterfield, that doesn't help us a whole lot. We do collect there's what they call a gross utility receipts tax on the utility bills.
Yeah.
But unless there's a retail sales tax component, we do not benefit enough from it to pay for the services that we're obligated to provide once that development is finished.
So you have an election's coming up, and you've got this use tax,
right,
on the ballot. What is it called?
Okay, it's called Proposition U, and the date of the election is April 4th. And this is a result of, first of all, the Supreme Court in 2018. It was called South Dakota versus Wayfair. They closed the loophole that previously exempted out-of-state sellers from having to collect the local portion of taxes that would go to the state of Missouri, St. Louis County, and all the municipalities within. So once they passed this, the Supreme Court decision in 2018, it was left to the individual state legislatures to create what they call use tax or Wayfair legislation. Yeah. So of the states that charge a sales tax, Missouri was the last state in the country in 2021 to pass this legislation.
Right.
With that legislative act, that automatically gave the state of Missouri their right to collect their portion, which is the Lions portion of this tax. So I'm not sure exactly when that became effective. It may have only become effective as recently as January, so people may not be aware of that if they're ordering things online. So legislatively, the state of Missouri gets their portion, but the smaller portion, the counties and municipalities must put it on their ballot for voter approval.
Yeah.
So that is why we have this on our ballot in this upcoming April election.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, if you've been to Chesterfield, Missouri, if you come here to St. Louis, check it out. It's booming. Top Golf all the way up to the outlet malls and to the. It's really nice in some areas. What's happening with the mall? Are we doing anything with the mall?
The evolution of the mall? Absolutely, we're doing something with the mall, and it's not us; it's private property. So these are, the city obviously is involved because we have our planning and zoning, people who have to be involved in authorizing a rezoning or approval of building, et cetera, as it comes along. So what's happened with Chesterfield Mall? You can talk about a lot of things, like you can say, well, why it has failed. There's probably a half a dozen good big reasons why Chesterfield Mall failed. And it's not just because 2 outlet malls came online in 2013.
Right.
There were deed restrictions put in place when the mall was first developed way back in 1976. And, I could go into the whole, line of reasoning why the mall has failed economically. So this has gone on for quite some time. Over time, the anchor stores have left. Macy's has left. Sears has left. Local developer, the Steinberg Group, TSG, has purchased all of the mall with the exception of Dillard's. And they have a redevelopment plan to pretty much start all over, demolish most of the mall, maybe not all of it. Perhaps the Macy's building would remain because it's in pretty good shape, and basically create a downtown Chesterfield. It would be a mixed-use development where you would have a mixture of quite a few residential units, some office, some retail, some restaurants, green space, big wide streets and sidewalks that people can walk on and ride their bicycles on, et cetera. So concurrent, or I guess along with that, separately, a TIF, a tax increment financing pursuit has been pursued, and there was a TIF commission appointed. There were 12 TIF commissioners. St. Louis County, under the statute, the state statute that talks about TIF, St. Louis County appoints 6 of the TIF commissioners. The city of Chesterfield appointed 3 with the concurrence of the other municipalities that may have had TIFs. 2 to represent the school districts, and 1 to represent all the other taxing entities. Public hearings took place and TIF meetings took place back in October, November, and I think they concluded in December. I forget the exact date. It may have been in November. And following that recommendation, that positive recommendation by the TIF Commission, I think it was a 9-3 vote. Then it came to the city, Chesterfield City Council, for their consideration. Chesterfield City Council approved it unanimously, so it was 100% approved by the City Council. So it's basically approved, and what that does is allows an increment, a portion of the additional property taxes that would be generated as property is redeveloped or developed to be, allocated to a special allocation fund that could pay for infrastructure projects not only within Chesterfield Mall, but in the surrounding area that benefit all of the taxpayers and the city of Chesterfield.
And you've done a fantastic job. As Vic said, I own a security company, and we've done security at random places across Chesterfield. Here at the Outlet Mall, over at Chesterfield Mall, back here at the theater here in Chesterfield Valley. And I'll tell you what, we've never had any problems. Everyone I know, they feel absolutely safe coming into the city of Chesterfield. You have really done a fantastic job. You have an amazing police force here in Chesterfield as well.
Well, thank you very much. We pride ourselves on providing, excellent services, and the police and law enforcement is the primary, if not the foremost example.
So we're talking with
Absolutely.
Chesterfield Mayor Bob Nation. So if residents vote yes on Prop U, what are they going to get out of that? What
Right.
are you saying that residents are going to get?
Okay.
How is it going to help the city?
First of all, before I talk about how it will help the city, it will tend to at least conceptually level the playing field in fairness to our local retailers, our local stores, when they're competing with out-of-state vendors who are not required to collect the local portion of taxes. It puts them at a competitive disadvantage. So that's the first and foremost thing. Is we think it'll help our local retailers, but obviously it helps the bottom line of the city of Chesterfield. Only if our local retailers are successful can the city of Chesterfield be successful and pay for the services that we provide.
I always look at Chesterfield. You guys want to be St. Charles so bad, don't you?
I think they're doing a fantastic job as it is.
Because St. Charles is doing a great job.
Absolutely.
Elman is killing it, I think.
Absolutely. I do too. I agree.
But what's your relationship with the guys, Sam Page and those guys, St. Louis County?
Well, we are within St. Louis County, and supposedly we should all be working together, and for mutual benefit, and our just like the state legislature has mutual constituents with I heard you had Ben Brown on last Friday. I didn't hear it, but I listened to that a little bit, and as an example, his constituents, those who have elected him, are our constituents in the city of Chesterfield too. Right. So, we ought to be, and so like, St. Louis County is approximately a population of about 1 million. Only about 30% of that is within unincorporated St. Louis County,
right?
And yet all of the municipalities in St. Louis County are the county's constituents. So, sometimes we do things well together. Other times, and as an example, here's a perfect example, and this is, I guess, perplexing to me.
Mm-hmm.
So 2021 is when the state of Missouri passed the Wayfair legislation, and so last year, 2022, a year ago, both St. Louis County and Chesterfield, as well as many other municipalities, put that use tax, Proposition U, it was called mostly.
Mm-hmm.
On the ballot. It did not pass in St. Louis County. It narrowly failed in Chesterfield. It almost passed. Matter of fact, it would have passed if you looked at the voting, the tallies in different precincts. It would have voted were it not for a couple of specific areas that I think there were people working hard against it, unfortunately. St. Louis County has not decided to put it on the ballot again this year. I think they plan on putting it, from what I heard, back on the ballot in November.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that, is, and I apologize for jumping around. I don't know how much time we have, but
we're fine.
Is I think it's important. It's like there's a state statute, it's 115.646, that precludes governments from expending taxpayer resources to advocate for or against a ballot measure. In other words, you can't say yes or no.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. That makes sense to me. However, they may, do what we can to educate and inform, but there's a fine line there. So I think the public doesn't, there's probably a lot of room for,
well, they don't know what they don't know. It's hard to be a citizen these days when things are so complicated.
Absolutely.
It's so complicated. Because the word tax makes you recoil.
Right.
But if you don't have the tax, then the good stuff doesn't happen as well.
I had no idea that you didn't have the property tax here in Chesterfield. That is,
most people don't.
That
You're
is
right.
phenomenal.
I didn't know it either. So I was talking to Bob the other day. I was like, dang. Especially
Phenomenal.
for Chesterfield as well.
Right.
Move to Chesterfield.
Yeah. So we
and vote for Prop U.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think about St. Louis being absorbed by St. Louis County? Has that ever been brought up to you?
Has it been brought up to him?
I'm not at all close to that. I mean, 3 years ago in 2019, when they had the Better Together proposal, and we looked into that, we studied that pretty carefully. I think it was a 26-page document that was on file with the Secretary of State. And if you read through that as our city administrator and staff, and I did, of course, it would have been detrimental to the
absolutely.
It was
that's why it was a great question,
no doubt.
I think it was probably put together by people who may have been well-intended. They may have been smart. They may be successful, but they have absolutely no understanding or insight into local government services.
It felt like desperation. It's like they've mismanaged St. Louis so bad. And I just got a soapbox for a second. They mismanaged that place so bad that they're desperate to get funds, and they look at West County as the people with funds. It's like, hey, you could be the biggest amenity in the state of Missouri, but you don't want that.
Already people don't realize, as an example, you talk about funding. Okay. The Zoo Museum District, which is a line item on our property taxes, 85% of that funding comes from St. Louis County taxpayers. And I think a lot of people perceive that as a city service that is provided, but they don't realize that it's county residents who are funding the majority of the Zoo Museum District.
I didn't know that either.
I thought you were going to ask, when are you and St. Charles going to hook up?
When's
hold on. Chesterfield and St. Charles County going to hook up?
That was okay. Vic says things that sometimes that sound crazy, but actually I did hear that. Was there ever a discussion of redrawing lines to put you into St. Charles, or is that just a myth?
As far as I am aware and recall, way back when I was relatively new as a mayor, and probably this was this occurred. This statement was made by me in probably 2014 or 2015 in an agenda review meeting prior to one of our council meetings, and it was when we were first making efforts to modifying the state statute that dictates the distribution of the 1% countywide pool tax, which ultimately we were successful in achieving a modest change in that. Whereby no city should have to give up more than 50% of what they generate within of that tax.
Right.
So I think the first year, either in 2014 or 2015, there was an attempt, a bill filed, and it went pretty far in the legislature, but ultimately it was not passed. And I think in a not a serious moment, tongue in cheek, I said, in an agenda review meeting at which a Post-Dispatch reporter happened to be there, I said to our council that, maybe we ought to secede from St. Louis County. So I think that might have been the origination of that thought, but that was not.
We would love to have.
And your popularity grew.
Yeah. True. It's so true.
Hey, we appreciate. So vote. The election is when? Vote yes on Prop U.
Tuesday, April 4th, 4 weeks from tomorrow. Please vote yes on Proposition U. It will make it a more fair, competitive environment for our local retailers, and it will help the bottom line of the city of Chesterfield.
And how is it hurting the citizens in any way, the residents? Because it doesn't seem like it is.
No, it sounds fantastic.
It's bringing money in.
No, well, the net effect, if a resident orders a pair of shoes online, first of all, they're already going to be subject to the 4.225% that goes to the state. But it will cost them $1 more for a $100 pair of shoes that they may order through Amazon or any other out-of-state seller.
Yeah,
Perfect.
That makes sense.
If you don't, let's put it this way: if you don't vote, if you live in Chesterfield and you don't vote yes for Prop U, you may someday have to vote for yes for Metrolink to come into Chesterfield so you can get those
or
tax
property
dollars back.
tax. That's
right. Because if you can't get the tax in one way, you have to get it another way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right. But that's the net effect. And, if, years ago, maybe this wasn't such a big deal, but over the years, as more and more people purchase online or in some way via, out of state, it's begun to erode the revenues that we once received. So it's only a common sense, no brainer issue as far as I'm concerned, if you understand the revenue structures.
Always support local. Chesterfield Mayor Bob Nation. Hey, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming in, and we'll have you back on. Heck, if you have time, you can go check out the airplanes too, since you're a former pilot.
Right, absolutely.
They're looking for pilots if you want to try. We can fly
beyond that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely appreciate
Bob
it.
Nation. Great to have him in studio today to explain that. Not always the easiest or most exciting thing to talk about.
I want to move to Chesterfield now.
Oh, no. This is great.
I'm absolutely not kidding.
If you come out here to Chesterfield is booming. It is. It feels
is.
like it's
Gateway
No,
is
it
going to
is.
be
We haven't even
monster
talked about that
monster
yet.
business.
Oh my God.
Monster. And it
But-
actually affects people nationwide.
But it is older money in some places in Chesterfield. There was an amazing mall that was regionally the most successful mall probably in the state at one time.
It's a safe mall. You know,
a safe mall indoors, correct?
Yep, absolutely. I work at Chesterfield Mall sometimes, and I'll tell you what, it is nothing like working at the Galleria or some of these other malls. You know why? Because they have kept MetroLink out of this area. It all comes down to MetroLink, and I'm not kidding.
I agree.
That's another big
Well,
story.
it is a
I
big
agree.
story, but I'm
I
not kidding.
agree.
When it comes to this use tax, if you live in Chesterfield, you have to vote yes for this Prop U
Yeah.
because you know what? Your
It's a
city
no-brainer.
has to recover taxes some way. And if you, as a person, your personal household, if you don't want to pay Prop U taxes, you still vote for it to support your city. But if you personally don't want to pay for it, then shop local.
Yeah.
Bingo. And that's a
Support
great,
your
great
city.
way.
Because if you don't support your city, then the city has to bring in potentially something like MetroLink because they have to bring shoppers in.
Yeah.
If you're not shopping in your own town, they have to bring shoppers in. Vote for Prop U.
Yeah, and you want to protect Chesterfield. Chesterfield has to be protected.
It's such a safe area. We've done security out here at the outlet mall, and I was there this morning actually on accident. But out at the no problems out there. It has been absolutely fantastic.
You know,
Look at
when
all
we're
the everything that's building up here.
Yeah. Well, we're not
And
the only municipality in the country. There's one that's just north of Atlanta, too, that's going through some problems where they're connected to the city and they want to secede. That was a great word, by the way. Secede from Atlanta and rule themselves. And you could probably see something like that in an area like this. It's like, look, we have the characteristics more of a St. Charles, which is booming, but we're still attached to this liberalism that's over here in the county. So their hands are pretty much tied.
That's Eric Johnson. We got Scotty Gherkin on the boards. Lizzie Sparks was in studio today. Tabitha Hassel. I'm Vic Faust. We appreciate you jumping in. It is cancelthisshow.com. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central. You can watch the show any time of the day on our platform, cancelthisshow.com. You can also listen to our audio podcast. You've got all of your same places, platforms on our website as well, where you can listen to again. Thanks again for jumping in.
Before we go, I want to add this. Go out into those different platforms and subscribe to the page. That's how you support the show. Hit that little subscribe button.
Have an awesome day. We'll catch you for Cancel This tomorrow.